Okay, I don't have followers. I mean, there's a couple people, I don't know why, but I make videos primarily so I can put them online so when I'm dead, my progeny can see them. This one, I don't know if it's for my progeny or not. But the topic is Federalist versus Anti-Federalist as related to the Democratic and Republican competition today. I'm making this video just because I haven't heard these thoughts from anybody else. So, a little bit of background, served in Afghanistan, combat, a little bit, not the terrible stories, but enough. Another in Djibouti, right after the Chinese opened their base, so that was interesting. Led me to be where I am now in Taiwan, waiting for the Chinese to grow the fucking balls to attack so we can fucking kill this goddamn atheist army. And I'm not even a Christian. But those words are useful. They're an evil fucking group of people that threaten others every fucking day. So, way you deal with bullies is you stand up to them. Wish my government had the balls to do so. Anyway, federalism versus anti-federalism. I've been watching these other videos on YouTube. There's discussions about the Democrats versus the Republicans. Democrats have a platform. They stick to the fucking platform. And disclosure, on my 18th birthday, went to the post office, registered for the draft first, and to vote second as Democrat. And it was 1997. In 2008, I had a friend who was openly bisexual, a man, and I was on the diversity committee at Vanguard. And he's like, I told him, like, I'm Democratic overall, right? I'm a liberal, but some things I really care about, they're adamantly against, and I can't take the party side on those things. And other things, they're just not important to me. And on this exact thing, right, he was bisexual, the topic was gay rights, I said, I don't really care, right? You care about it, you get involved. For me, I don't care. So I'm going to focus on the things that I care about. And he told me, you need to get on board. Get on board was really deep. It meant that I need to sacrifice the things I cared about and support things I don't care about because it's a party platform. And it reminded me a lot of communism. Didn't really think about it back then, but it's like, what the fuck? So I re-registered libertarian, which I am today. So I talk to people, I tell them I'm registered libertarian because people, I don't know, you say things and they think you're a Democrat or they think you're a Republican. Mostly Democrats are really fast to think you're a Republican, but if you're a little bit liberal, Republicans will think you're Democrat. I don't know. So it's like, I care about the issues I care about, and I don't care about the issues I don't care about. And unfortunately, there's no better party. But I tell my friends, if I was able to vote to be in the party that is meant for me, it would be Anti-Federalist. They're like, how the fuck can you be a U.S. Army Reserves as Anti-Federalist? Why wouldn't you be National Guard? Well, one, my MOS, I love it, and it's not available in the National Guard. It is my purpose for life. But number two, the original document of the United States was Articles of Confederation, right? We were a confederation based upon the precedent of the Iroquois Confederation. But it wasn't strong enough in international competition, so we created the Constitution with two main goals in mind: regulation of fair trade and mutual defense. And in the importance of mutual defense, I choose to serve the United States as federal instead of state. Although, the federal government goes against my state, that's a problem. I don't know what I'm going to do. But not the point. Like, So I grew up a certain way. I identified as Democratic for a long time until I decided, no, I'm just going to be myself. But I would be an anti-federalist if that was the party. Now, what is anti-federalist versus federalist, right? Powers to the federal government versus local governments. I grew up an army brat, right? I lived in a lot of societies, been living overseas for most of my adult life at this point, one way or another. I'm looking at these debates, and specifically, the last one was this debate between Ben Shapiro and some other guy that I don't know who he is. His name is not in the title that I see in front of me. It's a Lex Friedman video. I have no opinion of him. I'm not a fan. Some respect, but not a fan. Anyway, this just came up in my list of shit that YouTube gave to me, and I'm looking at them arguing. One is representing Republicans, one is representing Democrats, is an anti-communist. Anti-communist, he's sympathetic in a way, it seems, but he identified as not communist, not socialist in the beginning of the video. But I'm looking at their debate, and their debate is not all Democratic versus Republican when you look at the actual platforms and strategies of each party. They are each speaking differently than the platforms and the actions of each party. They're both representing something different, but what they're representing is much more akin to Federalists versus Anti-Federalists. And it's not surprising that we've gotten back to where we started. But this is something completely overlooked. And as long as, like, Democrats, right, I was a Democrat. I walked away according to fucking some video trend online. But it's become more profound. It's become more meaningful, right? American politics for a long time was focused on very small issues. And it has once again become two extreme sides against each other about what the future of the United States should be. Except now the extension is the future of the world, where, you know, in the 1770s, 80s, 90s, that didn't matter. I don't think anybody back then, maybe Ben Franklin, thought the U.S. would become something significant. I don't think anybody else did. But the arguments are Federalists versus Anti-Federalists. Federal power, right? And in this case of Democrats right now, people who haven't left is like they believe in the party before any other, right? I'm going to graduate school in Taiwan. And I remember this Vietnamese kid asking an American kid, like, do you really support Joe Biden? And the American kid is like, yeah, most of us who are young, we do. And I didn't say anything, right? Because I'd kill this kid by accident if I got into any sort of confrontation. I didn't come here to kill fucking Americans. So I just fucking minded my own business, but I was thinking in my head, you don't support Biden at all. You support the Democratic Party and whoever they support. That's it, right? You'll forgive any fucking Democrat for anything as long as they're part of the party, which is communist. However, the party itself is not led by communists. They admit and utilize communists, but the leaders are elitists. And they care about the platform. It's loyalty to a platform and to a party rather than to the country, rather than the Constitution, which I've taken a number of oaths to over time. This is profound, right? So we've got parties that don't represent what they say they represent. They're both fictitious, both deceptive. And the reality is the people have gone back to, should decision making be at the federal level or the local level? I, as what would be an anti-federalist, believe it should be at a local level. And, it's not that I agree, right? I grew up as a brat. I lived in multiple states, multiple counties as a kid. Very different. However, I think local people make better decisions for themselves than somebody far away, which was really the founding argument of the Constitution over the not over no that was more about trade and defense, but it was a major concern in the writing of the U.S. Constitution that we live by today. Well, we have been living by for most of my life. I'm not sure it's today. But I think as long as people follow the lies, follow the information campaigns, and just believe the ideas that are put in their head rather than thinking for themselves, that they'll tend to attach to this Democrat-Republican bullshit. But if for some magic, I don't know, hand of God or fate or the universe, whatever, came down and made people realize, no, should power be vested federally or locally, I think it would upturn everything. And maybe that's part of what's behind Trump right now and his popularity. Maybe not, but it seems like maybe that's what it is, but nobody's calling it out for what it is. But if we could just recognize reality, right? Like, get off your fucking Facebook and every other app created by the CIA. And call me a fucking conspiracist. CIA agents that I know have told me that CIA created it. Fuck you. Get beyond your applications, beyond the public news, even these weird journalists online, and just be yourself, right? Go out in the woods for a week. Get in touch with yourself, right? Figure out who you are and what it is you really stand for. Not what group you want to be a part of, but what it is you think you want the future to be. You have kids or not, probably a big difference there in the results, but stop telling other people to tell you what to think. I see these people around me, they have no fucking idea, especially these kids, I'm Generation X, obviously, if you don't see the fucking gray. I'm sure you do. Yeah, I'm in Taiwan. It's cold as fuck because where I'm living is mountains in the north and all the winds come from Japan. Freezing my ass off with no heater. So it's not really that cold in comparison with America, but you go long periods of time with no source of heat, it hurts. Especially when you've got, VA identified problems, that cold isn't good. But I'm not saying get off your asses, I'm not saying get more involved, just get in touch with yourself, man. Figure out what it is you think the future should be without any regard to any party or any group membership or any fucking bullshit. I'll sort it out later. Yeah, World War III is about to go hot. I won't deal with this till later, but most of my videos are for my progeny. Because I don't expect to be around much longer. I'm on borrowed time for fucking decades now. But this is what I'm thinking at the moment, so maybe it has value to them, but maybe it has value to somebody else. We need to eliminate the parties in the U.S. Yeah, the multi-party system, it's got its problems, but I see less problems than I see. It's evolution of processes, right? Process evolution. Every process is always changing. And our process has become stalemated because of corruption. Because of corruption and because, this is what works, right? We don't want term limits because if you have a representative who's been there longer, then he's more successful. We got to break through this glass ceiling. That's not glass ceiling of race or gender, I don't want to call it class because I'm not a goddamn communist, but between those who believe in freedom and those who don't. When I say freedom, I mean liberty, right? And liberty and justice are paired together in balance because one cannot exist without the other. But start to think about things. Ask yourself, are you a federalist or are you an anti-federalist? Maybe you can make some better decisions as a group.